Hello and welcome back to the Vegan Runner. You join me today for another 80-20 get faster workout. This time, another one of my favorites, hill reps. Whew. Let's go. There we go, 12 hill reps in the bag. Let's head back to the fireplace and find out why you should be adding them to your training.
Hello and welcome back to Beside the Fireplace. I love that run, almost 12 reps, just 30 seconds long, but all out zone 5 sprints. Love that stretch in the legs you feel when you're just going all out at top speed. Now this video is the fourth in a brand new series designed to help runners of all levels to run faster by introducing scientifically backed and real-world tested workouts to your training. We'll dive deeper into the 20 that makes up 80-20 training and give you a clearer insight into the 20% of higher intensity workouts, how they're structured, what they're focused on improving, some sample workouts so you can incorporate them into your training, as well as some tips and tricks that I figured out through my real world experience along the way. You don't have to be using the 80-20 training method to incorporate the workouts into your training, but as an 8020endurance.com ambassador,
Look, I have a hat.
I fully recommend it. It's allowed me to run consistently and injury-free for 18 months, all whilst increasing the mileage and running a half marathon PB of 1 hour 18 and 2 sub-3 hour marathons. If you want to find out more about 80-20 training or try out a plan, check out the links in the description of this video. Right, hill reps, let's get into them and up them. Hills, mountains, mounds of opportunity, peaks of perspiration, or what race directors usually describe as gentle undulations. Love them or hate them, there are many good reasons to be putting them into your training plan. Pretty much every book on running I've ever read and every coaching book I've ever seen has recommended adding some form of hill work into your training. I definitely feel like my training and running have benefited from hill work, and in a variety of ways since I started regularly adding them to my training, but I always think it's important to question the accepted and conventional wisdom and look over the available science to see if it all matches up. Now, unlike some workouts, there's been an absolute wealth of studies on the effects of hill training on runners across different ability levels, and the results are pretty convincing. In one 2017 study, a team of researchers split 32 athletes with similar running backgrounds and abilities into two groups. The first group was only given endurance training over 12 weeks, while the second had the same amount of running per week, but swapped in 2 hill sessions per week. At the start of the study, the athletes had their VO2 max and resting heart rates measured and were evaluated as being broadly the same. After 6 weeks and 12 weeks, the hills group showed significant improvement in their VO2 max and resting heart rate, whilst the endurance group did not. Another study found that its hill runners were up to 2% faster over the 5k distance after just 6 weeks of adding hills to their training, whilst a 2018 study showed that hill sprints greatly enhanced aerobic, metabolic and cardiovascular response. The authors drew the conclusions that hill work helps runners run faster for longer. They also noted that there seemed to be no increased risk of injury despite the harder hill efforts. This also coincides with a lot of coaches' advice that hill work takes a lot of the impact of running out of your legs, as your feet meet the ground a lot sooner than if you're running on the flat. So despite how much you may dread those hills, the science is pretty clear. Hill reps make for a stronger and faster athlete with improved cardiovascular systems and VO2 max. Still not convinced? Don't worry, there are plenty of other benefits to running hills that haven't been studied as much, but have been anecdotally reported by many runners, including myself, over the years. Let's start with the psychological side of hill training. Now, for a lot of runners, hills represent a mental challenge as much as a physical one. When Matt Fitzgerald asked marathon and Olympic gold winner Haile Gebrselassie what his favourite workout was, this is what he had to say. Hill training is my favourite because that's the one that gives you a lot of problems. Pain, breathing too much, struggling too much. Of course, you don't enjoy it during training, but after training, after you reach the top and you look down and you say, that is what I did, it gives you confidence. As Matt notes in his article, which I'll leave a link to in the description, it's interesting that the two reasons Haile gives for favouring hill work are both about the mind and not the effect on the body. First of all, it's about the hardship and suffering that a hill workout can bring, giving you that all-important experience of struggling. That suffering and that struggle will be coming for any runner who's attempting their next goal. Be it a race or distance PB, there's going to be some form of suffering and struggling along the way, and there's no real way of preparing yourself for it unless you can experience it and get familiar with feeling uncomfortable. Then there's the confidence building aspect. Now, after you reach the top and you look down and say, that is what I did, it gives you confidence. And I think we can all relate to that when getting to the top of that big hill at the end of a hard workout. We can look out at the view, we can pore over the Strava data, and it feels great to know that you struggled and you overcame the challenge. One last thing I'll add to this part of the video is that getting plenty of experience on the hills makes them a lot less daunting and challenging, both physiologically and mentally. Where I once may have shied away from a hilly route, I now love hills so much that I'll seek them out. There's a pretty steep mile-long hill which I tend to run up every day now, and I don't think too much about it. And this experience came in handy most recently at Brighton Marathon, where in the first 10 miles there were some pretty decent hills, some of which I wasn't expecting, but knowing that I'd run up longer and steeper hills helped to put my mind and body at ease. I had the confidence to tackle the hills and stick to my race plan. So how do you go about adding them into your training? I specifically run hill workouts once every 3 to 4 weeks, but as the studies have suggested, you can add the hills a couple of times per week if you wish. However, I suggest using a broader approach and mixing in different speed and strength intervals, which is what this video series is all about. So go back and check out some of the earlier workouts if you're looking for new ideas and new workouts to put into your training. I've covered things already such as fartlek and lactate intervals, so hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Now, there are tons of different hill training sessions out there, so I'm going to give you a couple of my favourites now, but if these don't take your fancy, then a quick Google of hill workout for runners will give you more search results than you'll know what to do with. So the first of my favourites, and I think this is a good one if this is your introduction to running hill sessions, is short and sharp and typically has a high volume of quick intervals with a decent rest period in between. So in a session like this, I'd find a relatively steep section of hill, maybe something with between a 7 and 10% gradient, and then after warming up, sprint up the hill at pretty much your fastest pace for around 30 seconds. Then take a very gentle jog back to the bottom for about 90 seconds and repeat 8 to 12 times. I really like this session as an endurance runner focusing on longer distance events. It's rare that I get to go at max speed in training, and I love that long, open and powerful stride, landing quickly on the forefoot and going as fast as you can. It's a great feeling and it really opens your legs up well, as well as your lungs. 30 seconds is also just long enough to feel the effort and then as you recover, but it's also kind of short enough that it doesn't feel too challenging and your form doesn't drop too much and you're kind of ready after that rest to get to the next rep. If you haven't tried hills, that's the one I would go for to start off with. Now the next one I really enjoy now as well, but it's a little bit harder from a mental point of view, although you're going to be running up the hills slightly slower. So this time each interval is 2 minutes long and you'll want to find a hill that's pretty long. This time it doesn't need to be so steep, so anything between kind of like 3 and 6% is ideal. And again, after a warm-up, head up that hill for 2 minutes, and this time in a kind of zone 4 kind of effort. So it's a faster than race pace effort, but it's not an all-out sprint. So to me it feels a bit like a sprint, but one where I know I could go a bit faster and I could really push it if I wanted to. At the end of those 2 minutes, then you gently jog back down to the bottom of the hill for 3 minutes. You've got a big 3-minute recovery, and again, just take it nice and slowly. And the idea of those big recoveries is that you're kind of prepared and you feel ready to go hard again for 2 minutes, and you're ready for that next rep. Try this for maybe 4 to 8 reps, depending on where you're at with your running journey, and see how you get on. These are definitely more challenging both physically and psychologically than the other session, but it's a great one for working on that mental toughness and resilience. If you can get through this workout, then you can pretty much conquer any hill that your training runs can throw at you. Right, I really hope that's inspired you to work hills into your training. As I always say, the most important aspect of running faster is to use a blend of different workout types, so be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and it might just make me smile. There are plenty of these videos to come, so no matter whether you've just completed your first 5k or you're getting ready to smash your 100th marathon, I'm sure you'll find something that's new to you and can help you to run faster. If there's a particular workout you'd like to see covered, or if you have any questions about hill running, then leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, be the best you.